So I had a conversation recently with someone who reached out who potentially wanted to work with us. This particular individual had a brand that they had started quite a while back. They've put a lot of time, money, and effort into building this brand. They've even raised money, and I just thought the conversation was really insightful, and I shared with him what I think was missing from his e-commerce brand and what I think a lot of e-commerce brands miss. And this can be the make it or break it reason of whether or not your e-commerce brand actually ends up working or ends up failing like most brands do. Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jack. I'm the founder here at Scenarius. We are an e-commerce growth agency that helps brands scale. If you're an e-commerce brand that's making more than 10K a month and want to learn a little bit more about how we can help you scale, I'm going to leave the relevant links in the description. So just to give you like a brief description of how the conversation went. This particular individual has a brand, as I said, and I've had this conversation many times. So what we begin is by questioning the founder on their business to help us understand if we can help them or not. And very quickly I had realized that the brand, although had all of the signs of success in terms of building a great website, even raising money, the product looked great. They had testimonials. They had been working with influencers, and the founder couldn't really see what the problem is or why the brand wasn't scaling as quickly as he had hoped, etc., etc. And what I was able to see right away is that although the brand that he was able to build was really good, there was nothing particularly remarkable or out of the ordinary about his products or the brand. And the problem with that is that there are so many brands out there on the market, and if you're not providing the customer with something that's truly remarkable, that's something that's outside of the box, something that perhaps hasn't been done before, then the customer is going to be very jaded, and you're not going to have the grip that you would otherwise have on that customer to, first of all, have them pay attention to your brand, let alone buy from your product. The subsequent question that I asked this individual as well is that, what are you actually selling? So you have this great brand, again, you've raised money, you have a great website, but what is your product actually selling? And what evidence do you have that your product actually does what you say it's doing? So for example, if you are a brand within the health niche or within, let's say, beauty, what does your product actually do? What are you actually selling? Because if you're selling a hair care product, for example, you're not actually selling the product itself. You're selling the transformation that people might experience from using your products, which is, fuller hair, healthier hair, longer hair, whatever the case may be for your brand. And so if you don't understand that and you don't understand what your product is selling and what evidence you have to support that. So for example, let's say you are a hair care brand and your product does sell, better hair or longer hair or hair growth or fuller hair. What evidence do you have that you can provide the customer that proves to them that your product does what it's supposed to? Now you might answer that and say, well, I have a lot of customer reviews, I have different reviews on my site, I have influencers that vouch for me. The problem with that is that almost every other brand in that space also has that. So what happens is the customer becomes kind of inundated with the amount of reviews and before and afters, if you will, that brands have. And so you have to take another step beyond that in order to prove to the customer that your product does what it's supposed to do. And this is a really important concept because, again, you can have the website, you can have all of the marketing fundamentals that you need to have a successful e-commerce brand, but if you don't have a product that people actually want, that does something remarkable for the consumer, that can grip their attention, you're going to have a very hard time selling your products because your competitor is going to go ahead and create something remarkable that's far more gripping. No matter how good your Facebook ads are, they're going to be able to grab attention right off the bat. And what I want to recommend for you, if this is something that resonates with you, and you feel like you've been working on your e-commerce brand, but you're not seeing the success that you had hoped for, I recommend reading this book that I've been reading. It's called Purple Cow by Seth Godin. You've perhaps heard of it before, but it talks about the importance of building remarkable into your brand and into your product. What are you actually doing differently? Are you actually solving something that the people need at the moment, that people care about, and are you solving it in a way that's better than your competitors, or are you just creating a product that's kind of similar, that kind of does the same thing that other products do, and that you don't actually have a lot of evidence to suggest how well your product works or why it works better than other competitors? Because at the end of the day, the customers are not going to go out of their way to learn about your product and your brand and test it out to see. They need to be able to see firsthand what your product is and what it can do for them, and why they should believe you in terms of what you're saying it's going to do for them. So this is just a quick video I wanted to share with you guys on this concept. Again, if you're struggling with your e-commerce brand, this is probably the biggest problem that you're gonna face, and this is the reason why most e-commerce brands end up failing, is because they've never created a product in the first place that solves a problem and proves that it solves that problem better than its competitors. And so it has no competitive advantage in the market. The only way that sort of brand can actually scale is by spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing to kind of force the product down people's throats. And the customers are becoming a lot more aware these days and are much less susceptible to these sort of marketing gimmicks. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Again, this is a really important concept for you to understand. I really do advise you to go ahead and read that book if this is something that resonates with you. And again, let us know in the comments what you think of this. What struggles are you currently having with your e-commerce brand, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one.